Welcome along to our live tonight to our friends in the UK, in Australia and New Zealand, and good morning to our friends in the UK. It's always lovely to have you joining us from all around the world. So my name is Lou Court and I'm joined by Dario Cotroneo, who you'll see here. If Dario gives us a wee wave, I think he'll pop up.
Hello, everyone.
Beautiful. So welcome to Class 7, Before and After Care. Now, this is Class 7 of our 8-week series on consultations. So it's our 8-week series Consultation Masterclass. And yeah, week 7. So we have whizzed through this, and this is our second last class. So thank you very much for joining us, and to all of those that have been with us through this whole journey across the last 7 weeks. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome. And we would love to hear if you've got any feedback about how you've found this consultation masterclass. Yeah, one more week to go. So just before we get started, a couple of little bits and pieces from me. Now, if this is your very first time, I am the social media specialist here at Timely. So I am the one that delivers our brand to you, our beautiful online community. So yeah, thanks for joining us. If you have missed any of the previous ones, you can find them on our Facebook page under a wee series that we've created called Consultation Masterclass. So there'll be 6 that have already been done in there. But today, Class 7 is all about the before and the aftercare. So Dario is going to take us through a presentation talking to what this means and how this looks in his salon. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dario, to give people a bit of a heads up on what's coming in today's class, or should we just dive straight into it?
Yeah, I mean, I firstly welcome everybody. Great to be back online. I've really enjoyed these weekly Facebook Lives. The feedback has been amazing. And it's really just sharing the love with the industry. And Lou, you've been outstanding. Really great collaborator. Really
thank you.
I've enjoyed the love for the industry. And I think for what the industry is going through, I know Adelaide's in lockdown this week, and hello to all my friends in Adelaide. So what they can expect tonight, before and after care, is probably the most important in terms of, removing fear before they come in and building rapport when they leave. So they're probably the two most important factors in terms of retention. So awesome. Ready to get started.
Awesome. And if anyone has any questions throughout the class, please drop them in the comment section. I'll keep an eye on those and feed them through to Dario as we get going. All right, let's crack into it. Thanks, Dario.
Thank you, Lou. Okay, so everyone, so consultations for us, so before care, we categorize this into before care and after care. And thanks to our friends at Timely, they've brought together this amazing technology that's going to help us refine this process with our guests in a much more automated way so that we can be freed up to do the things we love, and that's all things hairdressing. So before a guest comes in, Timely's just brought in this great new technology that we can send our guests forms via SMS or email prior to the appointment. So let's take a dive in to have a look at what that looks like.
So client will receive the text. Once they click that link in the text, it will open them up to the client login. And this is the section that Dario was just sharing with us. So they can click start their consultation. And then from there, that will open up the form that you have created, your personalized form. They'll enter in their details. So we've got all types of question types in here. It could be multi-choice. You could ask for a signature, taking a photo, name, number, date of birth, medical history. And that's it. Once they click save, that there will automatically, I'll just bring that back in. Oh, there we go. Dario, you can share again. That there will automatically be synced up to their profile in your Timely account.
In terms of the pre-care form, what this looks like on screen is that she'll fill out all these details, just like Lou was walking you through. And ultimately, what does that look like? Well, is she coming for a haircut, slight change, big change? Is she having color, permanent, on trend, gray coverage? And here's the part that I really want. I think this is a game changer for hairdressing. I think the game changer for us is focusing on the guest to upload 2 images of her current hair. So that could be a front-on photo and a side-on photo of what her hair looks like today. And then we go down to the next line, which is really fantastic, where she can upload an inspirational image. And I think post-COVID, to have this experience with guests where we can communicate with them really quickly and automatively before they come in is fantastic. It's a time-saving exercise just to understand what the expectations are for our guest when she comes in. And then the guest will hit complete, and then we're ready. That'll be sent back to us, and then we can start getting ready for the service. And I think ultimately that's where it's going in the world, not just hairdressing. I mean, this is really innovation at its highest for hairdressing. But if we can bring in technology into our business and we can streamline it to the point that we're actually doing less work, but we're getting more information, well, hey, when the guest comes in, we're already got a heads up with where her head's at, and we can put 1 or 2 plans together for her and map it out so that we feel like we're continuing a conversation. And I feel that that can only lead to better rapport and strengthening in terms of relationship. So I just want to show you this video in terms of our consultation experience, and then I'll see you on the other side of this video. Hey guys, I'm Dario Cotroneo, founder of DCI Education, and I'm really excited to present a beautiful haircut called the Maxi Shape on our gorgeous model, Lucy. How you doing, Lucy?
Good, thanks. How you going?
Very good. I'm excited. And this is a special thanks and a shout out to our friends at Timely for making today happen. Now I'm going to walk you through, firstly, when we get a guest coming in, we have this beautiful tool called the Consult app. And thanks to our friends at Timely, it's now integrated inside the actual Timely app. So when I click on Lucy's profile, I'll go down to consultation or consult. I'll then click into care form. Now, thanks to Timely, you can actually create your own modular consult questions, what type of questions you want to ask your guests, and really where do you want to take them. So I have about 4 different options. I'm going to show you today probably the most extreme option for when you've got a really, a sensitive guest or someone that's actually not quite clear on what they want. So first off, what we do with the care form is I'll hand this to you, Lucy.
Thank you.
And I'll get you to pop in your contact details first, email address. And this really links up with the actual Timely software. So it saves you doubling up, asking your guests to pop in all of her details right at the end. Now, once we've done this, we'll get into the care form. Now, the care form's really designed to get a deeper insight into what Lucy's expectations are for today. Okay, so great, press done. So Lucy, the first question that's on here, normally you don't read this out because you don't want to be. So first question I asked you is, how do you feel about your hair today? So the 3 options are happy, open for suggestions, or looking for change.
Definitely open to suggestions.
Great, awesome, that's really progressive. So how would you describe your hair condition today? So the 3 options are dry, damaged, or healthy.
Oh, is it a bit dry?
That's up to you to answer that question.
It could be a bit dry.
Good.
A little bit.
Good. This is a big test for you. What would you like us to do with your hair today? And you select in terms of maintenance, slight change, big change, or nothing.
Oh,
or none.
Just a slight change.
Good.
For sure.
Good. Okay. So in terms of color, permanent, semi-permanent gray, or none.
None.
So guys, this whole process is about engagement and making sure that you understand what she understands and vice versa. So the last thing that I'd like you to fill out is how often do you visit the salon? 3 to 5 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, 10 to 12, or every 6 months. So right now what I'll do is with your finger, sign at the end. That means that you've agreed with everything. And then I'll get you to press complete. Okay, so that completes the first chapter. And this takes us through to the actual next stage of the consult. And that's really about the scope of work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Lucy some key questions that really go down to, really typify what the visit's all about. So I'm going to ask you some questions about your length. This is really important for today's visit. So can you show me with your fingers what's the most you would like off your length today?
Oh, probably.
Everyone does that. They have to look in the mirror.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I would probably, just like the smallest amount possible.
Great. Okay, great. Yeah, that's great. It's about what you want, not what I want.
Right,
Yeah. So providing I don't take any more of that off, you'd be happy.
Yes, definitely.
Good. Okay. So looking at your face, would you be open to slimming?
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, I love layers around the face and
Yeah.
just like shape around the face. and
Great.
just Overall shape around the hair, I think.
Great. Okay. So what would be the shortest that we could put that in? Focusing on the jaw area, the neck.
Jaw area. for
Great.
sure would probably be the shortest.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so providing I don't take it any shorter than that, you'd be happy.
Be very happy.
Good,
Yes.
good. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is to remind Lucy that I really understand her, okay? And I want her to repeat it back so that she understands what I'm trying to clarify. So the last step is around your face. So what would be the shortest we could take the hair around your face?
Probably just up to my cheekbone or
Yeah.
up to my jawline would be fine.
Okay, so which one?
In between is fine.
Okay, good, good.
In between.
Good. Okay, and this is really important because we do have to push our client to really commit. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to walk my guests through what my opinion on what her restrictions are. So basically, guests come into our salon asking what they want, and this is where we really go into giving them what they need. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some photos, front on, side on. So we're going to take some photos, gorgeous, great. I'm going to take a side on photo, great. And I'm just going to take a photo from the back. So I'll get you to just spin around, just so you can see her hair, Lucy's beautiful hair, through the back. Great, I'll get you to turn back around. I'll take one more photo from the front. Great. Great. And so what I do with guests is I actually walk them through their photos. So I'll sit here and go, okay, so that's what I like to start on. So Lucy, that's what the back's looking like, and that's what your profile's looking like. So what I'd like to do is to create some volume through here and really compress through that area there, which aligns to your brief in the consult about jawline area. And then looking at the back, you can see how dense it is through there. So really slimming that in and giving you a lot of volume up through there.
Definitely.
Okay. And then through the front, just really slimming the belt of your haircut through there.
Definitely.
Okay.
I love that. Thank you.
Good, pleasure. What I normally do at this stage is I hand Lucy the iPad and I'll get her to write down in her own language what she understands she's getting today. Now, most clients, just before you start, because I know you're really excited, is that most clients at this stage will not remember what they've even spoken about. They'll be like, well, what am I getting? Because that's your job. And what I do here is I generally try and give clients a guide on, okay, so what we spoke about is just, probably about that much off your length. And then in terms of shape, probably no shorter than your jawline.
Yeah.
And then around your face, probably around the same.
Yeah.
Is that?
100%.
Okay, so I'll get you to document that. So the idea is for me to just recap what we're doing, why we're doing it. This is purely for me to understand what our restrictions are with the haircut. And I think fundamentally, you can see how quick this takes. I can't believe you just put trim. Just a trim. No, because trim is the worst word that I like. It's all good, it's all good. You didn't know that, you don't know. But why I say that, and this is really important for the guys at home, is that what trim represents is I want to walk out the same as what I walked in. Okay. And so I always, even though we can take a little bit off, I do like creating new beginnings for clients.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so the idea of not selling them the same jacket for their face every 6 weeks. So what you've put down is layers, more volume, and just a trim. Yeah, that's cool, that's cool. So what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'm just going to add to this, just to be a little bit more crystal. So you put down layers. Now guys, I normally don't use the word layers in a consumer chat, is because it can polarize people and make people feel quite, it could be something in their past that didn't quite work out and they've got a fear towards layers. So I might talk about invisible volume technique. I might talk about a compressed shape or condensed area. And I usually talk about the belt of the haircut being the area where the layer will fall. But because Lucy's opened up with the word layer, we freely can go for it. So what I'll say is layers to be at jaw area.
Perfect.
Okay. Now this is for our restrictions, not what I'm going to do. So that'd be the shortest I can take it. Okay. Because then I'll talk to you about what ideas that I've got for you. And some more volume. Now, when we talk volume, where do you like to see the volume?
Definitely around at the top
Yep.
volume. Like I'm
Okay.
not much of a fan for my hair to be bushed out at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. The top area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get you to flip your head over upside down. And I'm just going to shake your hair out a little bit. Just watch your top when we flick back. Okay, so flick it right back. Okay, so now with both hands, I want you to push your hair into shape without looking into the mirror. Yeah. Good. Okay, so what that shows me is you really love your length. Okay?
For sure.
Yeah, the way you touched your hair. And this is really important, guys. I can see that you're pulling your hair down and that really shows us how much you want to grow it. And because of that, I'd like to focus this session more about shape and leaving the length. And guys, sometimes I do this when I feel like a client's really sensitive about length. This will do one or two things. This will either flush out for the guest to say to you, no, I really want my ends cut, but we don't talk about trim anymore. We talk about maintaining. So it changes the language, the narrative. And more importantly, it shows that I care about what's really important for her, and that's removing that density through there and giving her shape. So what's mostly, the last question I'm gonna ask you, what would you most like to improve with your hair today?
Definitely just the volume. The volume. I just feel like my hair gets really flat because it's naturally straight, so it all just drops.
Less flat. Okay, good. Okay, so what I've got for you in terms of recap, so layers at jawline area, more volume around the top area, and normally what I do at this stage is we talk about how much we're going to quote Lucy. Once we've done that, the last thing we do is talk about, do we want to talk or do we want to have a timeout? And these are things that I put together for my consult for my guests. Now, once we're happy with all that and you understand that, I'll get you to just sign off the bottom, just through there.
Thank you. Complete?
Yeah, awesome, great job. So that then completes our stage 1 and stage 2 of our consult. What we would do now is we'd then go through the actual technique. Once we're finished, I would bring this back, our beautiful consult app, and talk about what we agreed to and did we achieve it. So this is really important, guys, because I find in hairdressing, it's about making sure you understand what your client understands. It's not so much what you think's going on. And by having some evidence with you, you can clearly walk your client through the narrative of what you both agreed an hour ago, so that she can crystallize exactly what we spoke about. Because people don't often remember what happened 5 minutes ago, let alone what happened 1 hour ago, let alone 3 hours ago. And we put everything transparently in front of our guests and we talk about what was agreed and did we achieve it. That's for two things. That's to make sure that you're accountable, one, and make sure that the guest is accountable. Because I find, out of 31 years experience, I found that you could finish the haircut and at the end your guest could say, well, I was expecting more off the length, or I was expecting it to be longer. And when you've got the evidence in such as a tool, a beautiful tool that Timely's developed, it gives you a real crystallization of what was agreed. So really at this stage is where we come back and we really push our hands into where we see the belt going in through where we're committing to, and showing the guest with your hands of where you want to compress and lifting up, giving them a guide. And what I also suggest is really working their hair to one side and just having a good look at what happens. Just get you open your eyes up a little bit through there. That's great. So what I'm looking at with Lucy is her photogenic side and a non-photogenic side. And then we go to the opposite side and one side pushes her eyes in. So this is a lot prettier. And this side here is her awake side that makes her look really strong. It pushes the eyes out. Now, it's about education in the salon and understanding that you can communicate and essentially really inspire your guest with the ideas that you have as a hairdresser, because we're not doing hair here. It's not about cutting hair. It's really about improving your guest's self-confidence, self-worth. And that's the part that I really love about hairdressing, is to really engage them on a much more intellectual level. So once you start moving the hair around and get a mood happening, then your guests can start seeing the way you're touching the hair is what they've aspired to have. Someone that took control, understands what their fears are. So for me, this is all about, the most important part is about building rapport. And rapport only happens when you build trust, and that only comes down to listening to your guests. Now, most guests will push back, will not want to talk, and probably shut you down and just say, please just cut my hair. If you listen to that, then we become pretty much an average hairdresser. What I'm trying to do through these videos is to really help you understand you've got to believe in what you believe, and you've really got to stand up to the core values that you have as a hairdresser, and that's to be of service and to really help people be better, look better, and most importantly, feel better. And often people come into our salons in a coma and will just ask what they've had in the past. It's really up to you to think about what will look good in the future for them and give them a reset, recollaborate. So I really like the idea of what's going on here with Lucy, something a little bit more looser to the side and giving her a feel and pushing that in through there. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. So the experience care, so on the day of the appointment, ultimately was that video, it was all about making sure that we have a process. And I find in hairdressing, over the years, I've found it to be a bit loose, and it could be if you've got an alpha personality coming in and dominating. The client or the guest is really pushing you in a direction potentially you don't want to go. And what I realized, early on in my career is, they're coming in for an expert and an expert opinion. And if they don't get one very early on, then the fear will dominate that whole experience. So what you see on screen here is the actual consultation app. And as I shared in the video, our friends at Timely have now developed that inside the actual Timely software app, as well as a standalone app for consult, which is free for anyone that's not a Timely customer. So you can either, I've got my form up there, that you can follow my form. That's really for someone that is quite a challenging guest, that you want to get as much information out, or you can create your own. And I've got about 4 to 5 different versions. I've got an express version, and I've also got one that's a little bit more light. And then I've got the full service one that you see on screen. And so what does it look like inside? Well, really easy. When we say modular, it really means that you can create your own experience. You go through, this is what it looks like in terms of creating that, where you want the heading, name, email address, mobile, your questions, short answer, long answer, and you've got your signature box, which is the most important item on this. So you can make it as long or as short as you wish. And ultimately, I do hear from people, now this is really interesting. I hear from people saying, my clients would never do this. And what I hear is I would never do this. And it's very, I think, challenging to hear people make a statement on behalf of people they've not put this to. And it's a bit like when I've gone and done seminars for hairdressers and say, oh, my clients wouldn't like that type of hair. And how do we know unless we've propositioned it or suggested it? And I think anything with enthusiasm and assertiveness is going to go a long way. And I think assertive behavior comes from confidence. And how do we get confidence? Well, through process, in knowing that you're going to get to a result, and a clear decision is really important for me, because that's about sustainability. So what you see on screen here, which is the guest ticking that she wants a big change. She wants an on-trend color. And she's uploaded a photo of herself and an aspirational photo of something that she wants to head towards. And that's really important for me as a stylist, because it gets my head around what's inside her head and how can I manage it on the day. So ultimately, the scope of works that you would have seen me walk through with my model, Lucy, is looking like this. So the guest will put her name in on the day. And so the next thing is about recapping on what we've agreed today. I often hand this to my guest and get her to write this down after we've spoken. And I said, look, can you just write down what you understand? Because I need to understand what you understand. And if the guest is looking at me and, you can hear crickets, I often will take the iPad and I'll say, look, I'll write it down for you. And I'll just give her a heads up that we spoke about a lob and we're removing weight underneath. Is that correct? She goes, yes. And I'll write that down. We're going to go for a blonde color to be darker to protect the condition, and we've got a treatment to make her hair feel better. Is that correct? Yes. So if there are barriers, we've got to pivot and we can do it for her. And we've quoted her there, and we've also given her a time that we've agreed on. And these are the 2 most factors I find in hairdressing. If you do not put the price down before you start, well, hey, there's a little bit of fear in this, because the longer it goes, the more the assumptions come in, and then judgment will come in later. And also time, because if we don't know her time and we don't know her budget, well, we don't know what we're aiming for. And I believe that we've got to know what we're aiming for. If we know that we've got a time limit we've got to work in, and we know we've got a budget, well, let's get started. That's how it works. And if we don't, well, then we have anxiety, because the guest will pop something up on us that we weren't expecting. Right down the bottom here, as I have timeout or conversation, because I want to know if she wants to talk, and I want to know if she wants to relax. These are going to change your experience with your guests, because not all the time they want to talk to us. So then I've got how many weeks does she visit for maintenance? She's put down 6 to 8. And then ultimately she signs up with her finger, and that will complete the experience. And this all gets stored in a 3-step process. And then ultimately the aftercare sign off was, once I've finished on the day, I'll come back to my guests, and I'll be walking her through what we did on the day, and I'll walk her through everything that was in this, what's on screen now. So I'll say, Mary, we've done a lob today. We've removed the weight underneath. So how does that feel? She'd be like, amazing. And then, we've done the blonde color going darker to protect your condition. That'll remind her of what we agreed. And I'm doing this transparently in front of her. And we put a treatment. So your hair must feel amazing. How does it feel for you? And again, talking to her in a modality that really is aligned to her personality. And then once the guest is happy that we've kind of addressed everything that we said we were going to do 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago, well, hey, we're going to build so much trust. And from many years' experience, we then hand her this and we ask her if she's happy with the service, she's happy, and sign that off. And if there's anything she wants to chat about or discuss, then we'll have that conversation now. And it's all about being positive because it's only communication. And I see so many people fearing rejection, and being wrong's not fatal. It really isn't, but it's about having a conversation. I don't know how many times in life I've brought something and not been happy with it. And when I've gone back to talk about it, how they've treated me is the energy behind, will I be involved with this company for many years, or will it be a one-time experience? And I really like open conversations with guests about really understanding what they perceived what was going on. And this is what's important about what I've just shared with you. So I'm going to show you how to close this out, and then I'll see you at the end of this video. Is I love going in, taking a photo of the front. Great. And then what I do is I'll take a photo of the side. Great. Then I'll take a photo of the back. Great. And then I'll take another photo of the side, silhouette. Wow, that looks amazing. And so what I like doing with my guests is I like walking them through. So as you can see, your shape through the front. So if we look at where we were to where we were before, to where we were at the end.
Insane.
Yeah, so I like to, so if you look at the journey that we've taken on today, it's much more elongated, much more streamlined.
Nicer, definitely. Okay.
So if we look at the profile,
wow, strong.
Yeah.
But beautiful.
Ah.
So effortless.
Yeah.
Love it.
Aren't you nice? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside your album when we're finished today.
Great.
So no matter what, and one thing Timely allows us to do is to store these photos inside your file. So whenever you come back in, we can revisit those haircuts. So to bring us back to what we agreed from the beginning, we'll go back to your consult. So we'll go to the scope of work. So just to recap on what the goalposts were for today and what we're aiming for is that we were layering at the jaw area for more volume around the top area and nothing off the length. So what I'll get you to do is I'll get you to sign off that you're happy with your hair, and then I'll get you to sign off with your finger. So I'll get you to do that. Awesome. So what we'll do with this information, it'll get stored in your file. So next time when you come in, I'll just have a bit of a recap on where we left and obviously see where the opportunity is to potentially do something new next time.
Great.
Okay, awesome. We had a lot of fun shooting that, but it is about recording the information. So what happens once we record the experience on the day? Well, we go in, we type in our guest's name, it'll come up within our search history, and then if our guest is a Timely customer, we'll just copy it into her file and it gets stored as a document. And if she's not a Timely customer, you can ultimately email it to yourself, message it yourself, or store it on your iPad. But I find this is amazing because the more information that I have, the much more safer I feel, because we are going to have situations where a guest will feel that they've said something, as we all do. I mean, I do it all the time where I'm assuming I've heard something, but I haven't. And the facts don't lie. And I love facts. It really keeps me on track and keeps me in check. And so if you have a guest coming in saying, I'm not happy with my hair, well, the first thing I do when a guest comes back is I start off with the photo of the experience of where we left off on the iPad. And then the second thing is we walk through the actual scope of works together. And then the guest will crystallize that she wanted to go darker, not lighter. And she wanted a lob. She didn't want a bob. And it could be that perhaps we haven't delivered. So it works both ways, but it's about bringing us closer to the answer. And most importantly, the solution is what do we do next? And if it's change of mind, well, it's clearly change of mind. But if it's something that we need to step up and resolve, then that's a great opportunity to build even more rapport and trust. But I don't really like to, I want to encourage you to build as much, because this is a test for us when clients challenge you. And I do like clients to feel really comfortable about having that conversation, but providing you've got all the information around you. Okay, so what I'm really excited to share with you is aftercare. For me, this is the biggest game changer. So, aftercare for me is, this is a form that is an email to a client a week after the appointment. So we ask the guests, so we send this to them, the same process of what happens before they come in, is we ask them to upload a photo of what it looks like. This is really important, guys, because if you want to build a really sustainable business, well, we've got to have an honest truth of how it's functioning. And you can do this after a week or 2 weeks after your appointment client visit. And this for me is where it's at post-COVID. It's about building stronger relationships with you guys. So imagine, right? She puts in a photo, she sends it back to you, and you might be looking at it going, that's not looking as edgy as I hoped. And then you give her a call and say, hey, I'd like you to come in and just give you one complimentary session on styling to help you get the best out of that. Or you guys might be like, thumbs up, loving it. And even though she's loving it, you might not be loving it. And again, reach out to her, and I'd strongly recommend get her in for a complimentary training session, not blow dry, training session. Let's use the right language, let's empower it, and let's get people excited about coming back in. So ultimately, after about 2 to 4 weeks, you can have another setup, because what I like is, I think if you think about, if you're not getting new clients every week, if you're not getting 3 to 4 new clients every week, well, nobody's talking about us when they leave the salon. And that's dangerous, because what are we talking about in the salon? Are we talking about how to improve and inspire our guests, or are we not? And if we're not talking about inspiring, improving them, well, they're not going to be excited to talk about us when they leave, hence why we're possibly not getting new guests. Now, this is a great tool as another option. In about 2 to 4 weeks between visits, or into the visit that she's just left you, is that you can actually reach out again in home care and give us some recommendations and where to, in diagrams, put the products in her hair. So the products to use and how to use them. And again, it just depends. When I talk, for me, luxury in hairdressing is time and giving people your time. And I really believe the loyalty and the trust that you get is based on how much you invest in your guests, depending on how much they invest in you. And I think the pre-COVID, well, that world doesn't exist anymore, but post-COVID, there are so many great opportunities for you to change the game, change everything about hairdressing. And I think with these tools, it's extremely exciting for you to change that game for you and your guests. Okay, so what's up next? What's next? Next week, we are going to reveal what 2021 will look like. And I'm really excited. I'm pumped for this, because we have worked really hard to share with you what we're doing next year. We've learned a lot from 2020, and 2021, we have some new and exciting features and tools to really elevate this industry. And I'm super pumped for 2021. Lou, what about you?
Yeah, I know. Me too. I feel like everyone's been really working away at a lot of things behind the scenes this year. So I think a lot is going to bubble up in 2021. I do.
Yeah. So guys, so you can join us next Wednesday night, same time. And also we're on Sunday night.
Yes.
Yes.
We are. You're actually too good, Dario. I was going to give everyone a reminder, but you're all over it. Absolutely all over it. So bang on, exactly as Dario mentioned. It's we've got class 8, which is this final one around what's coming next. So that will be Wednesday, the 25th of November. But just before that, on Sunday, the 22nd, which is this coming Sunday, the day after my birthday, actually. Woo!
I heard about that.
We've got a live, which is our third seminar all around, well, it's the first one on hair psychology, but the third seminar that Dario and I will be taking. So it will be the same time that we've been running these lives. So that is 7 p.m. Australia Eastern Time, 9 p.m. New Zealand, and that is 8 a.m. for our friends in the UK, Northern Hemisphere. So we'd absolutely love to see you there. They will, of course, be recorded. If you've got any other questions at all about the content that we've covered, just drop them in the comments and I'll be able to keep an eye on them and share them through to Dario. But yeah, thank you, Dario, for another brilliant live.
My pleasure. And I've really enjoyed this. Thank you, Lou. And I hope everyone at home's, awoken to some potentially game-changing ideas and a new way to think. I love that. I love that. New beginnings, new chapters, and there's something to get out of bed in the morning enthusiastic about change versus fearing the unknown. And I think hopefully what you've got out of these episodes is some great tools to help start that conversation back in your business. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Amazing. That's a wrap. Thanks, everyone. And we'll catch you Sunday or Wednesday.
Awesome.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
Bye.